Bonjour.
Bonjour. Is that like how they say it in
depends
France?
on the person's voice, right? Like if you're just a light speaking person, bonjour.
Bonjour.
But some people will like really another bonjour. It gets really annoying, honestly.
Oh man,
Depending
we're
on where you
already
are.
live. By the way, we're already live, Steven. I don't know if you realize that or not. We're already live. We're waiting for you. We're
My
ready to
bad.
kick it off. I
I'm
had
here.
a pretty heavy night last night, but I'm here. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Tell
Ready to
me
do
about
this.
it.
Yeah, you guys won the championship, right?
Did. Yes, sir.
Congratulations, man. That's
Yeah.
sick.
Dang.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
6. It's supposed to be a 2-day tournament. Okay. You do 3 games round robin, and then it's like a 4-game to the finals, making it through the tournament. They were like, nah, I show up. I'm ready for 2 games. I bring like my breakfast. I bring like my lunch. We're good to
You
go.
were there all day.
We have a first round bye. Like I'm feeling high, feeling good. And they're like, oh, by the way, it's a 1-day tournament. So we played 6 games yesterday, pretty much back to back to back to back. And my legs are on fire. But I made it. I'm here. I woke up. I didn't oversleep this time. Didn't oversleep this time. Last time I overslept.
Love it, man. What's going on, everyone that is in the group already? This is our Start to Sit show. So go ahead, get those questions lined up. Let us know who you want to know, whether you should start or sit. Axel's in the chat already. Axel, you had a fun trade. If you want to put that one in the chat, I'll go ahead and show my pants for you. There you go, Axel. If you're wondering, if you're on YouTube, he always tells me show him my pants.
I was gonna ask, what is the origin of the pants?
So back on one of my first episodes I ever did, one of my first live shows, I used to record my podcast in the morning, and I never wore pants because I just didn't care enough to because I was just recording a podcast, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it wasn't even a live show, so I started doing live shows without pants, and
love it.
I want to say either he asked me or one time I just ended up getting up in front of the camera and I wasn't wearing pants. He said, tell him what top you're wearing. I don't even remember what it was, to be honest. This is like 2 years ago. So
Axel, you're a dedicated human, and I appreciate that of you.
Yeah, every Sunday.
Axel's one of my favorite people in here. It was, yes.
Button down with a tie. Love it.
I was wearing a button down with a tie and no pants because I wanted to look sharp in front of the camera. I completely forgot about that.
We call that hashtag fake sharp, is what we call that. Chase is now officially confirmed as hashtag fake sharp. That is confirmed. I shall post that on the interwebs so everyone can know.
All right. If you guys have any Start to Sit questions, I already see a couple in there on YouTube. By the way, if you're watching on Twitter, go ahead and head over to youtube.com/fantasyintervention. So that way we can get your questions answered. Big shout out to Fantasy Football Discussion for being in here. Axel, of course. Axel, you should put your trade in the trade that you're asking yesterday in the chat, and we'll try to talk through that one as well. I know my mom has a Start to Sit question, so that's pretty cool. I can't wait to answer that one. She's getting into fantasy football. It's her first year. In fact, I'm going to text her and be like, shout out, Mom. Come in the chat. Anyways, let's go ahead and go through the injury report. Thomas, what you got for us, man? Is there anything that is really tilting these waivers? I mean, I'm sorry, these lineups. Is there anything that's got us double thinking certain things? Like I know Justin Herbert's a massive one. What do you got?
We're gonna see a lot of Justin Herbert. I have a feeling we're gonna see a lot of these two aren't necessarily injury related, but Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. So we've got the quarterback situations figured out. Herbert, I mean, it's 50-50 if you're comfortable playing him. I think that one's really going to come down to it. Did you hear if he gets a pain injection, he's doing it on third-party site. He's not doing it with the team.
With the doctor that gave him his opportunity?
They're doing it with like an X-ray gimmick on a third-party off-team site. Because I wouldn't let that doctor, who's still employed, come anywhere near me. We do have Alvin Kamara is supposed to play, so obviously you're playing him if you have him. Christian McCaffrey, he got taken out of the injury report. He's going to play. Hunter Renfrow, concussion ruled out. Interesting note, Josh Jacobs did travel. He's doing the warm-up.
wow.
expected to play, even though he didn't travel with the team. So looks like Josh
I think he
Jacobs.
was sick and he didn't want to get the rest of the plane sick or something like
Correct,
that. Correct.
but
Probably, yeah.
apparently that doesn't matter when you're on the sidelines. So Josh Jacobs is in fact playing. J.K. Dobbins is playing. I'm sure we'll get plenty of questions about running backs. I'm not playing him, but he is going to play today as well. And as more and more pop up, we'll keep you noted.
All right, let's go ahead and kick this show off. We got Per Bostrom. Don't really know how you say that. But yes, I'm guessing it's
Bostrom?
I don't know how that
Bostrom?
accent works. How does that accent work?
What's
Anyways, we ended up having a question from him. Ramondre, Henderson, or Mostert at flex. It's half-point PPR, which kind of changes things. Let me go ahead and start out by saying, since we're on the injury report, this is a great segue. This whole entire Buffalo Bills defense is decimated or hobbled, right? Miami, obviously, Coach Steven down there is cheering because he's a Miami fan. But we have their defensive tackles, their defensive ends hurt. We have 3 6-round picks starting in the secondary.
Yeah.
3 6-round picks are the
Fun
starters
fact.
for the Bills secondary.
3 of their starters have only had 3 career starts that are starting today, so it's a great day.
It's essentially the Ravens secondary versus the Bengals in the back half of last year is kind of what we're expecting. I will give credit to the Dolphins fan below me. That comeback last week I was in absolute shambles. As for this question, the secondary might be a wash, but the front 7 is very much alive and well and difficult to run on. So I am going to nix. Yes, I'm going to nix Mostert in this.
I think Ed Oliver's out.
I am playing Henderson.
Oliver's out, and then I believe Jones as well. I believe.
So is the entire Bills secondary just dead, or defense is completely dead? Oh my god.
Yeah, it's bad.
Tough
it's
one.
really bad.
The other part with Mostert is you're still questioning whether he'll make it through the game, and then Chase Edmonds does pop up. For me, I want to play Darrell Henderson. It's the Cardinals. They're terrible. That offense is good. In this situation, most likely to score, I'm picking Henderson. Which one are you going with, Steven? How I'll approach it.
Yeah, and this is pretty tough because
Jordan Phillips is out too, by the way. Sorry to interrupt. Jordan Phillips is out as well.
Yeah, I honestly might go Mostert. It just showed last week when he saw 12 carries in that game there that he's gonna see the workload on the ground. Yeah, there's always a possibility for an injury with Mostert. That's the kind of risk you take, but I'd rather go Mostert because I feel like he has at least the role set up. While Henderson might, but then out of nowhere we could see, like we talked about last week, Cam Akers just comes in and takes a lot of work away, and then same with Ramondre Stevenson. You don't know if it is going to be a Damian Harris kind of day. I feel like it is a kind of a Damian Harris kind of day, so I'm probably going to go Raheem Mostert on this one.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Mostert is the fact that he could break off an 80-yard run at any point. I mean, I know that he's older than what he was. He's a little bit rustier than what he was, but he still has that ability. And up against a very porous, or beat up, I should say, Bills defense, I mean, I'm taking Mostert in this one. I have Mostert actually in a lot of DFS lineups as well. I'm going Mostert. Maybe I'm trying to hit the home run here, but I'm doing it. All right.
And it doesn't hurt to play that way, especially with the point total being 53.5. I mean, you're definitely right on that.
All right, so my mom's trying to figure out how to comment on YouTube currently. So love you, Mom. No, I do want to answer this starter sit question that she had. I'm going to do it right after we get on to Mike's first question. Mike Peterson asks, "Morning. Need 3 half PPR. Jefferson, Mike Williams, London, Garrett Wilson, Lockett." All right, Jefferson's an absolute lock.
Mike Williams comes to be the tough one if Herbert's 50-50. That one I'm on. That makes me very uncomfortable.
I love Eckler this week. Not a fan of Mike Williams. Even if Chase Daniels plays, and we have a Herbert sitting on the sidelines, that still makes me a little bit concerned. Meanwhile, London, I mean, he looked good last week. It's the Seahawks. I feel like London has to be a start. Where I come into question, it's like, what's up?
He said he has to. I was affirming
for me.
48 and a half.
He's a must start, Drake London.
Yeah.
So the question for me becomes Mike Williams, Garrett Wilson, Lockett. Lockett's out on this one. Garrett Wilson had a phenomenal week last week with Joe Flacco at the helm. I mean, it's a tougher Cincinnati defense, but at the same time, the Jets are going to need to score. I don't see them. I don't see the Jets putting up less than 20 points this game, or 21 points this game. I think that Garrett Wilson has a touchdown out of the 3 that are scored. I'm going Garrett Wilson as my third guy over Mike Williams.
Yeah, I think Jefferson, London, and Wilson make the most sense because you just don't know if Herbert's going to be out there. If Herbert was out there and we knew, probably Mike Williams over Wilson. But since we don't know, I'd rather have Garrett Wilson.
You would do that even if, like, obviously he's getting a pain shot, but
I think that they play at 4, so I'd rather just go Wilson and not take that risk anyway. Okay,
that's an interesting take too. Man, it's tough. London's, like you said, he's a must start. He's a 48+% target share. The man, it's coming along great for the rookie, and I'm not willing to bet that Garrett Wilson does what he did last week, but I mean, Flacco's going to throw the ball at least 48 times this game. He's doing his Kurt Warner story arc right now. So I'll start Garrett Wilson. I'll say this: if you were inclined to play Mike Williams, if you think Justin Herbert is playing, I wouldn't deter you from doing that. It's your risk tolerance. What is your risk tolerance in this lineup? Do you need that guy to score 35 points? Are you comfortable getting a possible 15? Right? Look at it that way.
All right. So my mom's question is J.K. Dobbins, Kenny Gainwell, Rashad Penny.
Oh my Lord.
She needs to start 2 of those people.
Oh, well, get Gainwell out of there.
What?
Yeah.
Washington? Up against Washington, who cannot contain a running back in the passing game whatsoever, in a game that Washington could absolutely get blown out. You have the chance for Kenny Gainwell to play the entire 4th quarter up against a beat-up Washington front 7, right? That cannot stay in the game. I mean, the secondary guys that come in, their backups that come in, are absolutely horrendous, and they can't contain the running back in the receiving game. Oh my God, I love Kenny Gainwell. But go ahead. Sorry, I love Kenny Gainwell. Go ahead, Steve. What you got?
What were the other 2 outside of Gainwell? Penny and who?
And Dobbins. And you got to start 2, Thomas. So you're saying no Gainwell?
No.
Gainwell and Dobbins I'd go with. I take the risk with Dobbins today over what Penny could not give us today.
I would rather play Penny over Dobbins for sure. And I understand Chase's argument for Kenny Gainwell. The 4th quarter, Boston Scott come in and vulture a touchdown that you need Gainwell to get it.
It's definitely a real possibility.
You're relying on everything going right for Gainwell to hit. Whereas Rashad Penny, we know he's at least getting his touches against an awful Atlanta. Yes.
They've been good. Yes. They've been pretty good about the run so far.
Yeah, Atlanta's been great up against the run.
I'll still take Penny's talent and opportunity. Rather, again, you need the planets to align. The chakra has to be at the perfect essence. Your shui has to be perfect in your life for everything to hit for Gainwell. Unless he just has a breakout run, and that's fine. But Penny also has the ability to break out on a run at any time as well. I will say this: I'm more willing to slate Gainwell over Dobbins than remove Penny from this lineup. And I do not like Rashad Penny. However, Dobbins coming back, first game, New England, it's rough.
All right. I respect your opinion. And in week 1, when you said play Christian Kirk over whoever the hell it was, I was wrong. You were right. I'm hoping for your sake that it's like that again, but I'm still going Gainwell and Dobbins at this point. All right, let's go with Axel's question. Single QB. Hurts, Connor, Gabe Davis for Stafford, Aaron Jones, and Scary Terry. Which side of the trade are you guys on?
Oh, Hurts. Immediately. The dude has the opportunity to finish the QB1. He's unreal. I would take Gabe Davis over Scary Terry as is already. And then Connor and Aaron Jones. Obviously, you like Aaron Jones more, but I mean, that's fine. Matthew Stafford's not a good fantasy quarterback, folks. He's just not. He had arguably the greatest wide receiver season in history play with him, and he still finished as, I believe, the QB 11. The man yeets interceptions. He's a pylon. He's an actual statue. All those statues that Chase has behind him there on his shelf, that's essentially the athleticism of Matthew Stafford.
Oh, did you see my newest one?
I did not.
Woo! DeAndre Swift, baby. This thing is on.
There you go.
Flat out metal. This thing is sick. I love it. We have some new cool stuff coming out for Trophy Smack that I'm very excited for. So let's go ahead and hop on to our next question. If you guys have any questions, make sure you get them in the chat, of course. All right. Is Keenan Allen in or out? I believe he's out, right?
He's still listed as questionable. I have not seen. But again, if you're worried about Herbert, you should definitely be worried about Keenan Allen as it is. And Keenan Allen coming back after a hamstring is risk tolerance. I'm not playing him. I'll tell you that. I have a lot of Keenan Allen. I acquired a lot of him in the offseason because he was dirt cheap. I am not playing him. I do not trust Keenan Allen coming back off of that injury with his quarterback needing an off-site pain injection to play. Hard no for me.
All right, we have which wide receiver to start? Smith versus Washington, Samuel versus Philadelphia. All right, so Devonta Smith had a massive week last week. What was it? 7 receptions on 7 targets for 84 yards, I believe. Question mark. Anyways, he ended up having a pretty big week last week. Up against Washington, where they play this deep zone coverage. They haven't been allowing guys on the outside to really gain receptions as often. Typically, they end up allowing them to get underneath. And if Philadelphia decides to move Devonta Smith across the lineups, across formations, we could see a massive week from Smith. But I'm not going to chase those points that he put up last week. Meanwhile, Philadelphia has Avonte Maddox that's been playing the slot. He's pretty much been the only slot corner thus far. And they like to play some sort of somewhat of a similar type defense where they allow targets underneath. That's why every single slot wide receiver you've seen up against Philadelphia has done pretty damn well, outside of Kirk Cousins missing Justin Jefferson over and over and over again. This week is going to be either a Jahan Dotson week or a Curtis Samuel week, one of the two. It just depends on if Jahan Dotson can get loose up against Bradbury, because Darius Slay shadows Terry McLaurin nonstop. In every game that Slay has shadowed McLaurin has put up nothing over the past 2 years. 4 games, it's been brutal. So I believe that Samuel will be my pick over Smith, but I'm very hesitant to run out Samuel in more lineups than, just this one. Like, I don't want to play Curtis Samuel over other flex options just because I think he's going to get targets underneath, because he can end up with 6 receptions for 60 yards, which is fine for daily or for season long or redraft leagues. That's great. You get your 12 points. You're happy with it, but he's not going to bust lineups wide open. So, I mean, for this situation, I'm taking Samuel, but I don't want to run out Samuel in every single lineup.
No, excuse me. No, you don't. And if you're starting wide receiver, you have to start which wide receiver to start? Smith versus Washington. So it is just starting one. I'm starting Samuel against Philly. Judy, Hurton, teams kind of dog water. You're right about Smith and Washington. I'm taking Samuel. I mean, he's just doing things that he was supposed to do 2 years ago. It's really odd, the target breakdown in Washington. It is not something that anyone saw coming, and I don't think, except maybe people who are as locked in as Chase Vernon is in Washington. But Carson Wentz, safety blanket, yeah, I'll take Curtis Samuel there for sure. I would play him 100%.
Steven, are you grabbing a beer right now? Is that what you're doing?
I'm cooking as well, so I had to just check on my food. But
is it somebody's birthday today?
We got
it was my girlfriend's roommate's birthday, so I'm kind of just here in the background of things here. But
all right, which one are you taking?
It's got to be Curtis Samuel. It just makes the most sense. He's seeing the best target share so far compared to these other two right now. I wouldn't start Judy, especially coming off that shoulder injury. And then Smith, I just don't know how productive he's going to be. So I'd rather go Curtis Samuel in that nature there. And he's seeing almost 10 targets a game. So I'd rather take the hot hand there.
All right, CeeDee Lamb or Adam Thielen in this one. Thielen has not been seeing the targets necessary to be successful. Meanwhile, CeeDee Lamb has Cooper Rush on the ball. For me, I'm going talent in this one. I'm going the number one target on the team in this one. I'm going with CeeDee Lamb. I don't really know how I could get myself to play Thielen in this matchup. Like I can't bring myself to it. I think we're gonna see Mike Hughes get absolutely just obliterated by Justin Jefferson in the slot this week. It's gonna be so much fun to watch.
Yeah, so I mean, Adam Thielen's dust. He was kind of dusty last year. His touchdown volume was insane. He's dust, like dust buster. Run it across the lineup, get him out of there, yeet him into the sun. It's over. I'm taking CeeDee Lamb. The man's still seeing targets. They may not be great targets, but they're targets. I've been selling off Adam Thielen all week for 3rd-round picks everywhere I can. Like it just gone. It's over. He's a great player. It was a fun ride. Hooked on a Thielen was like one of the best team names that you saw in every league for 2 years, but without the touchdowns, it's kind of over.
Yeah, you guys are right. He's just not seeing consistent work, honestly, and it's definitely CeeDee Lamb this week for me.
All right, Steven, do you want to start out with this one right here? Because I feel like we've been taking both responses.
No, it's all good.
Let's go ahead and get you in on this one. I want you to start this one out. Trevor Lawrence, Jameis Winston.
Oh, this one is tough on both ends here, but I think both of these guys honestly have tough matchups, tough secondaries to both go after. Jameis Winston has the Panthers this week, and Trevor Lawrence has the Chargers, both very good secondaries. But at the end of the day, I think I'd rather go Trevor Lawrence on this one. Jameis Winston, you could see last week the back definitely had some kind of difference in his play compared to what we saw in week 1. Trevor Lawrence has been solid, not great, but I'd rather trust him in this kind of matchup here this week. He's been solid. He hasn't put up any really bad games so far this season. DeAndre Swift.
Oh, no, sorry. I was just trying to figure out a way to get this in because it's really sick and now nobody can see it. So I'm like, okay, how do I get it into the screen? Where does it look the best? Sorry, go ahead. Keep going.
No, you're good. You're good. It just makes the most sense overall. I mean, the Chargers, it could be in for a bad day, especially if Herbert doesn't play here. And even if Herbert does play and say the Chargers are winning, I'd still expect Trevor Lawrence to be able to produce pretty solid fantasy numbers. While Winston, I think, might end up with another, like what we saw last week, very mediocre fantasy day. So I'm going to go Trevor Lawrence.
I think Trevor Lawrence has his breakout game up against the Chargers. I know this is a tough secondary, but they've been allowing 265 yards receiving to the wide receiver position. Underneath, we could see a massive day from Trevor Lawrence, whether we're talking about the outside or underneath, to be honest. But I know the Chargers are tough. The defense is tough. It could be lower scoring. And if Herbert plays, I think it could be a little bit higher scoring, which is a game that I'd rather play Trevor Lawrence in. But now Jameis Winston ain't it. Not yet. Not now. I'm hopping off the Jameis Winston train after 6 years of being on it, or 7 years, however long he's been in the league. I'm getting off. All right, Trevor Lawrence for me. Do you have any difference of opinion, Thomas?
Nah, you add a bad back, and he also has another injury I was trying to look up as quickly as I could, but I couldn't find it. He has listed with 2. I don't know if the other one was a wrist or an ankle, but healthy Jameis Winston is 50-50. Bad back, awful Jameis Winston is a 0. So I want to play Lawrence, and hopefully Christian Kirk continues to absolutely ball, man. I'm loving that. I like the weapons for him. It kind of seems like all Trevor Lawrence has to do is stop throwing the ball 50 yards downfield with 2 guys there. If he stops with the Matthew Stafford stuff, I think he's going to be great. And I think you're right. Breakout game could be incoming. Might actually have to run this game. You want the rushing. He can do it. He's got to stop with like the one or 2 carries for like 8 yards. Once he does that, I think he'll be fantasy dynamite. But I never want to play Winston at this point.
All right, guys. Do I put Damian Harris to RB2 and move Connor to flex over Lazard in case Connor doesn't play? Harris plays at 1. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, just in case. But I would definitely play Connor. Yeah. But that's a smart move, Hunter. I mean,
I don't think Lazard's playing. I don't know. It seems very questionable he actually plays. So yeah, definitely get him out of your lineup.
Okay, I missed that injury. All right.
He's not out yet, but I think he's questionable. So I don't know if he's playing.
The way I always approach these questionable, not sure 50-50 guys, again, if your risk tolerance is telling you that you're not comfortable making a last second decision, or if you're an absolute degen and you're in 83 leagues, like some of us are, where you have to set that many lineups. Because exactly, it's a real problem. If they're that questionable, if they're that uncertain that they are going to play, sit them, because you will be less queasy about it. That's why you have other decisions that you've made. Trust that instinct more than I need this 3 extra points from him.
Dude, I played J.K. Dobbins in the Scott Fishbowl in week 1, and I hate myself for it because I forgot to check that lineup.
Yeah.
I forgot to check it.
I crushed. Oh, yeah, thanks. I crushed week 1 and got absolutely mercilessly curb stomped in week 2. So that's the breaks. Thanks, Kirk Cousins.
All right, if you guys are checking it out on youtube.com/fantasy intervention or fantasy football discussion, make sure you bring your questions into the chat. Your start say questions. We'll do our best to answer them, at least give you information, accurate enough or digestible enough to make the right decision.
Jacoby Myers is out, folks. By the way, it has not been updated yet, as far as I know, on Sleeper. He's out. He's out. He's not playing. It's been reported that he's not playing. Multiple sources have reported that he's out. He's not playing. Not playing. Get him out of your lineup. So just for record, should I flex Sterling Shepard or Michael Carter?
Ooh, that's an interesting one up against the Cowboys, who just get eaten up by slot guys. If they continue to move Shepard all over the formation, because I was trying to look up the formation sets by the Giants over the past 2 weeks. It has been absolutely nuts where they've had guys positioned, especially with injuries and whatnot. Oof. Steven, you want to take this one and start it out?
Yeah, no, this one was tough. I was sitting here looking at it since you've had it up there, and it's a tough one here now. Sterling Shepard's seeing about 5 targets a game. Like you said, the Cowboys, slot corners aren't the best. I mean, Sterling Shepard should eat. I was saying the last time Sterling Shepard actually had a healthy game against the Cowboys, he put up 100 yards and a touchdown. Michael Carter, he was great in week 1, but week 2 is kind of more of a disappointment. I don't know how much they're going to have an opportunity to kind of just dunk it off when they're going to have to try to compete with this Bengals offense. So I think I'm probably going to go Sterling Shepard here. I don't like it, but I feel like he's just a better option this week for me.
So these are the slot snaps for the wide receivers for the Giants in week 2. In week 2, Richie James 24 in the slot, Sterling Shepard 17 in the slot, David Sills 6 in the slot, Kadarius Toney 10 in the slot. And by the way, Kadarius Toney only ran 15 routes. So on his 15 routes, he ran 10 in the slot. I mean, they are literally moving everybody around. I don't remember the last time I've seen 4 players log over 5 slots or snaps in the slot. Excuse me. So, I mean, this is absolutely nuts how they're positioning players. So it's like, dude, where is Shepard going to line up against this Cowboys team? Does he have that big play potential up against the busted coverage by Trayvon Diggs, who is known to do that? What can we expect moving forward? And personally, I'm going to have to go Shepard over Michael Carter. I don't think it's even really a competition.
I will take Sterling Shepard, but it's interesting to note that in week 1, he only had almost about a 73% snap share. He saw 17 routes, and he had his 15.1, right? He was a wide receiver too. Last week, his snap share went up, his routes went way up, his targets went way up, but he finished outside of wide receiver 3 territory. So you're getting a tale of 2 tapes with Sterling Shepard, but Dallas is kind of cheeks, so I will take Shepard in this case. I'm a little bit scared of the splits with the New York Jets backfield. That's a game that I highlighted on the walkabout on Friday. That I'm watching that game to see how they're deployed. The way they handled Breece Hall went from 10 plus targets in week 1. He saw 1 target last week. So we don't know how they're deploying their running backs. There's hopefully you always hope that after a couple of weeks you get some actual answers. We've gotten none. So I will take Shepard because you can at least expect a 9+ point floor from him as long as Daniel Jones doesn't implode. So I will take Shepard there. It's just very interesting the Jets running backs situation.
By the way, Thomas, very nice belt in the background. You guys head to TrophySmack.com. You guys can actually purchase a trophy or a belt. And if you use promo code CIRCLE, you will get a free ring with the purchase.
Oh, it's so shiny.
Once again, purchase a trophy or a belt. Use promo code CIRCLE. You will get a free championship ring with the purchase of a trophy or belt. So go check it out. All right. We have reports that J.K. Dobbins is going to have workload. Kenyon Drake out.
Kenyon Drake
is running J.K. Dobbins, Gibson, or J-Rob in the RB2, 2.5 PPR, which is a big game changer for me. Because I was going to say J.K. Dobbins is tempting, J. Rob is tempting, but Gibson has to be the answer. I feel like here in 2.5 PPR in a game that Washington is going to be down. I'm taking Gibson.
The problem is with that take is in week 1, J.D. McKissic was non-existent. In week 2, J.D. McKissic saw 7 targets when they needed their back out there catching passes. That's concerning to me. J.D. McKissic is going to be alive and well in this offense. If they're down, I expect for J.D. McKissic to be out on the field. Whereas with Gibson, if it's a neutral game script, I feel like that benefits his pass catching ability with his increased ability to pass protect. Down though, I think that's J.D. McKissic's job.
So we've actually seen it recently. I've watched the film. I've checked it out because I'm a big advocate of being able to pass block and Gibson not playing on third downs because he has not been able to pass block. But it looks like what they did in the offseason in terms of making him as the pass or the punt protector has actually worked because Gibson hasn't blown a single block yet. He's only allowed 1 pressure on all of his blocks combined, which has been a good amount. And J.D. McKissic has actually blown a few blocks, which got him pulled from last game, which is why he was the receiving back last week. So Gibson might actually be the receiving back moving forward, and they use him a good amount in the slot as well.
That's the receiving back in a neutral game script, because when they were really down, when they needed their receiving back not to block, just chip and let go, J.D. McKissic saw his targets there, and those are the valuable targets. If they're going to trust, you're really questioning if they're going to trust Gibson in the 2-minute drill in that scenario. That's where you're going to make your money, especially in a 2.5 PPR format. I like J.D. McKissic in the 2-minute drill right now because we saw in week 1 his usage was awesome, but a little bit overblown. And then in week 2, we saw exactly what we expected out of Antonio Gibson. Not playing J.K. Dobbins because it's 0.5 PPR and he's not going to catch a pass. I'm split on Gibson or J-Rob in this, and I almost want to play James Robinson instead.
What you got, Steven?
I mean, I had Jay Robinson on my little card here the entire time you guys were talking, no matter what, honestly. I just feel like he has the majority of the carries, and that's a big thing. The Chargers, against the run defense have been pretty mediocre personally up to this point at this part of the season. And I just expect him to be able to just have enough workload to kind of keep this thing going. While Antonio Gibson, it wasn't great to see J.D. McKissic kind of get that workload last week. Yeah, that's what scares me with Gibson. While he could end up having 8 targets, he could also end up having 3 targets in that game. It just depends on how this game kind of goes about. And I expect it to be a game where they're traveling from behind a lot.
I'm going to change my answer to Antonio Gibson.
Yeah.
James Robinson has only seen 2 targets in back-to-back games. No thanks. Okay. 2.5 PPR, I'll take Gibson.
Yep. They are porous up against run in the middle, though. So I will say J-Rob has that going. All right, Devonta or Judy? I'm going Devonta Smith over Judy. I'm not trusting Judy up until we see, the Broncos allow Russell Wilson to throw until they get on the same page. It feels like Russell Wilson spent all of his time in front of the camera, doing mock-ups instead of, let's ride.
Practicing his high fives out of the tunnel in practice instead of throwing to his wide receivers.
Dude,
did you see that video?
Did you see? Wait, I didn't see the high five video, but I saw the
video
of him being let him know. Come on, let him know. Pass.
Oh, runner pass. Yeah. There's another video of Russell Wilson. He's standing in the tunnel before practice in gear, and he does the head down run out high fives with nobody around. I'm just what is going on here, man? That dude is screws loose.
Broke him.
I'll take Jerry Jeudy. I'll say this because we've seen Jerry Jeudy be successful with Russell Wilson in week 1. So I'm going to take that potential at a blow-up game. I think Devonta Smith is getting alpha cucked with A.J. Brown, and I don't trust him to have a real blow-up game. I want a blow-up game, and I think Jeudy can give you that. It was not a blow-up game, though. Are you telling me that's his alpha type game? No, I want one play is all you need from Jerry Jeudy for him to hit, where Devonta, you need, again, the planets to align. I don't see it.
All right. What about Pat? Or I'm sorry. You can get to answer that, Stephen? My bad.
That's okay. It's okay. I'm just here for a pretty face. No, I'm just kidding. No, for me,
You're
it's
so
Devonta
gorgeous.
Smith.
You make our podcast look so much better. Without you, I don't know where we'd be.
I appreciate it. No, I'm going Devonta Smith. Honestly, I'm not like high on Jerry Jeudy, especially him coming off that shoulder injury. I don't know if that's going to cause any effect with his ability to catch the ball this week. Honestly, and I just like Smith better, especially in a matchup where the Commanders. I think they lost another corner this week that's inactive. So I like that ability for that passing game to continue to just work.
All right, we'll start you out with this one, Stephen. What you got, Patterson or Chris Olave?
Ooh, this is a tough one. I'm going to go with Chris Olave in this matchup here. I do believe that the Falcons are going to be ahead in this game, which they probably won't need Patterson's receiving ability as much, even though the Seattle has not been great against it. But, they showed last week they didn't need Patterson to catch 8 targets in a game to play from even a comeback game. So I like Chris Olave. I think he just has that high floor there that I like. I mean, he's seeing the targets. He threw 13 targets last week here, and whether or not I like Jameis Winston or not, he still has to throw the ball to someone. And I think Chris Olave has really shown he's trying to become the alpha wide receiver in the Saints offense.
All right. You got any other take from that?
It's tough to deal with Cordero Patterson week in and week out. Like, it's really tough. I'm pretty sure he damn near split carries with an awful Tyler Algier. He's not a good player. I never understood it. But even Cordero Patterson's targets are down. Like week 1, he had 5 targets. Week 2 against the Rams, 1 target. He's a full avoid right now. That offense looks like it's running purely through Drake London. So I will take Olave. Hopefully Winston just keeps eating the ball downfield. Because if one of those balls hit, you're very happy.
Guys, I can't believe you're ignoring the dose score. I mean, the Broncos.
Because you haven't released it yet.
I haven't released the dose score yet. It will be released.
I've literally been hounding you on your Wednesday show. Chase, where's the dose score? Chase, where's the dose score?
It's accurate. I need to make sure it's accurate first before I release it. So I normally wait till week 3 or 4 to make sure that we have enough data to be able to create a storyline for this. But I mean, the Broncos have allowed 15 targets. I'm sorry, not the Broncos. The Seahawks allowed 15 targets this in week 1 to the Broncos. Last week to the 49ers, sure, they only allowed 2, but guess what? The Broncos don't pass the running backs, so that doesn't really matter. We should see an increase in that, by the way, for the game script moving forward with Trey Lance out now. But anyways, the Seahawks have been one of the worst teams in terms of the dose score for the past 3 years in a row. They just don't care. These defense coordinators, they don't care to try to prevent the ball going to the running backs. They allow them to get targets. They allow them to gain yards, 4 or 5 yards per catch minimum. We're talking about a massive game right here for Cordero Patterson. He's my lock in there. Chris Olave is a little bit too, hit or miss for me at that point. I don't see a high enough ceiling in order to play him. Meanwhile, Cordell Patterson could put up a 20-point game. All right, A.J. Dillon, Lockett, or Burks at the flex position. For me, Lockett's out. I'm not playing with Lockett up until I start to see more consistency. Plus, outside, the Falcons have a very good secondary in terms of preventing, deep yards or deep passes, etc. Wow, I'm struggling through this one. A.J. Dillon or Burks is the question, and the reality is the Titans are going to have to pass. I mean, this is going to be a tough game for the Titans overall. Still going to lean A.J. Dillon. He's a stud. Should see the targets. He's seen enough targets over the past 16 games in order to warrant playing him regardless. I do like Burks this week, but I'm going to go A.J. Dillon. Sorry, I struggled through that one.
I love that you actually used consistency in the same sentence with Tyler Lockett as like a reason to wait to play him. The man is one of the least consistent players I've ever seen in my life. But I'm actually going to play Burks. I'm playing matchup games here. Dillon, not in a good matchup at all. Lockett is not someone I ever really want to trust. But Burks is running more routes. He is seeing more targets, and he is starting to surpass Robert Woods. I'm willing to take Treylon Burks. And I think Burks' game would have looked a lot better had, the Bills not put the Titans to sleep at halftime. So rookie young boy Treylon Burks had to go down for a nap at halftime. I don't think that's going to totally be the case in this game. I think Burks could end up seeing something around a 26% target share in this game. That's where it's trending. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I think the best way to look at this, if your matchup is something where you just need a consistent floor guy, AJ Dillon just makes sense. He's seeing the workload. I don't like the matchup per se, but if you're looking for a big play at the flex position, I think Treylon Burks joins the rest of these rookies and has his first big breakout game, and he's leading the team in targets so far this season. He's had 50 yards in back-to-back games now. This is a matchup where they're going to have to throw in an easier matchup that they've had since the first 2 weeks of the season here. So I think Burks ends up having his big game finally this year.
Yeah, all right. So I'm changing my answer. I'm going with exactly what Steven just said. If you need a floor, AJ Dillon, Treylon Burks if you need the ceiling. All right, Lamb or Lazard or Aguilar.
Oof.
Guys, it's CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
Like I understand the Cooper Rush thing, and he's not like Studley. You got 50-50 Lazard, or you want Nelson Aguilar. You drafted CeeDee Lamb to be that guy. He's still seeing the targets. It can still happen for him. He's the better player. Guys, please. It's still CeeDee Lamb.
It's still CeeDee Lamb for me too, But I mean, how's that Baltimore Ravens secondary looking? Because Aguilar could have a massive game.
I understand that they blew two coverages, one being a rookie and one being Marcus Peters, who literally only had to turn his head to see that all he had to do was go bloop, and Tyreek Hill's touchdown wouldn't have existed. I understand that it looks bad, but in the first half of that game, they had nothing. So it took a historical collapse for the Baltimore Ravens to lose that game, and it was Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, not Nelson Aguilar. So no, I will take CeeDee Lamb. Their secondary looks fine.
All right, Alan Lazard or Cole Beasley in the flex PPR. Buccaneers are all sorts of beat up right now. They don't have any receivers. Cole Beasley comes in.
Play or practice?
I have no idea. That's what I'm pretty much bringing out. It's like, hey, Beasley hasn't been with the team long enough for me to feel comfortable. Meanwhile, Alan Lazard is Aaron Rodgers' best friend. I'm going with Alan Lazard for that reason. It's weird, I know, but I cannot justify running out Cole Beasley.
He's his friend out of necessity, which I think is hilarious.
Hey, they had Thanksgiving dinner together 2 years in a row. Just saying.
Did they really?
Yeah, I know they had it 2 years ago. I think
Chase is making stuff up at this point, just hoping that we bite. No, no, thanks.
No, that did happen.
I'll take Lazard in this scenario, but again, I believe Lazard is a legitimate 50-50 chance of playing. So risk tolerance. Just don't play. Playing Cole Beasley is fool's gold. Please, there has to be someone on your waiver wire, like an Ashton Doolin or a Greg Dortch, someone on the waiver wire that's not owned.
All right, I'm going to try and run through a few of these guys. If y'all have an objection, go ahead and speak up. But I don't want to get into too much analysis because we do have so many questions waiting. I'm taking the Texans defense against the Bears on this one. Bills defense is way too beat up. We saw an explosion over there for Miami last week, so go ahead and take the Texans defense against a shaky Bears offense. Let's see. Chris Olave or Patterson in the flex. Oh, wait, we already answered this one. James Conner or AJ Dillon. If James Conner plays, I'm likely
PPR too.
It's PPR for this one.
I think the next.
He tried to go to the next comment and he left.
Right. I'm going James Conner over AJ Dillon if James Conner plays. Obviously, it's 425 game. Both of them are, so that will be an easy one.
Jesus. Dylan's just not seeing the targets that we expect. That's so good.
To click on the next comment?
I'm going to click the comments. Yeah.
I'm using my phone today because I didn't bring my camera with me. I forgot it. So I'm trying to do this on my phone. I'm like, shit. I was like, what happened? I was like, fuck, I went out.
All right. I'm going Hollywood Brown, Miles Sanders, James Robinson. I'm going. Ooh, I love Miles Sanders this week. I'm going Miles Sanders. Hollywood Brown is very close, so I think that Hollywood Brown has a chance to explode if he sees the targets, which he likely will underneath with the way that the Rams play their coverages. Meanwhile, a couple underneath passes is going to open up a big one up against Jalen Ramsey, who bites on the doubles nonstop. He's really bad against fast and quick twitch receivers. All right.
Miles Sanders is just goated this year.
Who is this
Apparently,
Ethan Harris guy? Ethan, get out of the damn comments. All right, you're messing up the show. All right, let's see. Full PPR: Jamal Williams, Rajay, or Madison. Alexander Madison does have a real chance to go off if the Vikings go up early against the Lions this week. We all know the Lions have a terrible defense. So I do like Madison, but I'm going to take Ramondre over these other two guys. It's close. This has to be a floor play, and I think Ramondre ends up having the higher floor and a possibility of a touchdown. We have Bateman Robinson. Would you start the Bills or the Buccaneers D? I'm going Buccaneers D, and I'm going Bateman over Robinson.
Have to.
Yep.
All right. Connor or Jeff Wilson, flex CD, Julio, Knox, or Thomas. I'm going Connor over Jeff Wilson as long as he plays. You should be able to make that decision just fine because the Jeff Wilson play won't happen until tonight. Meanwhile, we have flex CD, Julio, Knox, or Thomas. All right.
I'm assuming that's Michael.
Ooh.
Michael Thomas would be the only one that I can possibly think of.
Logan Thomas.
I was thinking Logan Thomas.
Logan. Oh, Knox or
splitting
Thomas.
Those receivers and tight ends up, or is it all flexed?
Look, if it's all flex, CD, and for tight ends, I'll take Dawson Knox over Logan.
Well, if it's flex for all of them, then that doesn't really make sense because you have to.
Hey, some people flex tight ends and
yeah, but you would take CD and Julio, right, over Knox and Thomas.
Yeah.
I agree.
If it's either one, all right, I'll take CD and Julio, or I'll take CD and Knox over Thomas.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, full PPR, flex between Antonio Gibson, Juju, Curtis Samuel. For me, I love Juju this week. I really do, but I think Antonio Gibson has a week that we will remember for a long time. I'm going to Antonio Gibson.
You're
Juju's
really buying in on Gibson this week.
I am.
I don't know if I can trust you with the Washington homerism, but I'll take the other Washington Commanders football player. I'll take Curtis Samuel.
Oh, yeah.
Full PPR, I will take Curtis Samuel.
All right. Steve Carson said alpha cut from earlier.
Gotcha. Right. You like that one, didn't you?
Sup, y'all? Do I lock in Herbert this week? I really don't want to start Wentz, and the waiver wire is pretty awful.
Yo, Wentz hasn't even been bad.
Yeah,
Wentz has done just fine for you in fantasy. Look, don't watch the game. Okay, that's the trick behind.
Don't watch it early.
Not at all. Right? Watch the box scores and look at your fantasy scores afterwards. I believe the man leads the league in touchdown passes. He can't be doing that terribly. And it's not pretty. It's not like you're not watching like a work of art, like a Patrick Mahomes carving up defenses. But at the end of the day, if fantasy wise he's there, it's your risk tolerance. Again, I'm going to say this 100 times. A player that's completely 50-50 and needing a pain injection, or a starting quarterback that has been productive so far this year. Remember, earlier in the year, Carson Wentz, even with the Colts last year, was a top 12 fantasy quarterback. He was a QB1. So take that for what you will. Risk tolerance, I'm playing Wentz.
Yep.
All right. I need to start two. Garrett Wilson, Jeff Wilson, Zeke, or Penny. You're running out Zeke, right? Like Zeke should be.
I'm not.
You're not running out Zeke?
No.
Against the Giants?
Over Wilson?
No. I will take Penny and I'll take Garrett Wilson.
Oof. I'm going Zeke and Garrett.
Yeah.
Zeke is getting hashtag owned by Tony Pollard week in and week out. If you want to have 4-yard carries over and over, and now if Pollard continues to get goal line work, Zeke his time is nigh. It's here.
Yeah, I'll still take him for one more year. All right, we have let's see.
Do I have leagues?
Hollywood, Miles Sanders, James Robinson. Wait, did we already answer this one?
We answered this one, yes.
We did.
All right. We have need to start two. Wait, we're already answered
that. You just answered that one. We're gonna get through this, Chase.
We're almost there. We only have 2 questions left. So Broncos, Texans, Niners defense. I'm taking the Texans, I believe. I think the Texans have a really good week. I'm playing them everywhere in DFS.
What is the Bears?
I like the Niners defense still.
Do you?
Yeah, I still like them even against the Broncos. Absolutely.
Okay. I'm still taking the Texans. I want
to play bad against the 49ers.
I want a high upside
You want turnover potential, and right now, I think the Texans give you the highest turnover potential, but the Niners will also provide you the most sack potential with that Denver team. So I'm actually gonna take the Niners.
Okay. Let's go ahead and hit this one. All right, so we did answer this one,
Okay.
but his phone died. So Harris, yeah, we're gonna move Connor to the flex regardless. There's no reason not move Connor to the flex.
Oh yeah, if I don't, I'm stuck with Darrell Williams or Madison, where Harris plays at 1.
Yeah, I don't understand why you wouldn't move Connor to the flex. Like it's just
You should.
You move Connor to the flex. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's because he has to sit Lazard. I guess maybe that's the issue at the end of the day, is having to sit Lazard if that's the case.
Yeah.
No,
again, 50-50, man.
Wait, what time is the Green Bay game? Green Bay game's at 4:25. You're going to find out if Connor plays or not. In the flex. So, there's no reason to not move him to flex because you'll find it at the same time if Connor's in the game.
Correct.
So, yes, you're definitely going to start Damian Harris. And then if Connor doesn't play, then you have Lazard. Yeah, if Connor does play, then you're absolutely playing Connor. So, if he doesn't play, then you play Lazard.
Maybe
So,
he doesn't like Harris.
You wouldn't. Yeah, that would have to be the issue is you don't like Damian Harris. But I like Damian Harris more than I like Lazard for sure. All right.
Nobody should ever like Damian Harris.
Kittle is in. Kittle's playing. Should see a decent amount of targets. I think that he's heavily factors in. Kamara is
playing.
Yeah, Kamara's playing as well. All right. Michael Thomas or Gabe Davis.
Davis.
For me, are you going Gabe Davis?
All day Gabe Davis.
All day Gabe Davis.
All day Gabe Davis.
Man, Michael Thomas has been Michael Thomas since coming back. He was saved a little bit last week. Gabe Davis coming back this week.
Hey,
against the Dolphins.
Stephon Diggs has been shut down up against Xavier Howard. Maybe not shut down, but his stats have not been good. So they've had to target other people up against Miami. I do like Gabe Davis.
I want Gabe Davis for the touchdown. Again, injured Winston is gonna be no bueno.
All right. Let's see. Any word on Keenan Allen yet? I haven't seen anything. Keenan Allen doesn't play until 4:00, so we're not gonna hear anything.
You're not gonna get anything on Keenan Allen until later.
All right, let's go ahead. We got one more question, and then we're getting out of here. I got to go set my lineups. This has been a full hour-long start sit show, so thank you all for joining. Big shout-out to Fantasy Football Discussion. Go check us out over there on YouTube, youtube.com/fantasyintervention. And make sure if you go to purchase a trophy or a belt like you see in Thomas's, make sure you use promo code CIRCLE over there at trophysmack.com. Use promo code CIRCLE. You'll get a free ring along with the purchase of a belt or a trophy. There you go, Thomas. You got it. All right. We have Dobbins
so blingy
or Elijah Moore, excuse me, and I actually have this issue. I'm playing Dobbins over Elijah Moore. I like the upside play, but the Cincinnati secondary has been very good thus far. Dude, roll out Dobbins. I know he's just going to see, 60% snap share, if that, but he does have the touchdown potential, more so than Elijah Moore has. So I'm going with Dobbins.
Dobbins is going to get 8 carries today, and you're all going to be super depressed.
One will be a touchdown.
Do you know how safe the Ravens staff is? And for your Cincinnati secondary, Eli Apple is a 52.4 rating, 74th according to PFF. Awuzie, 29th. His best player is Hilton. Their best DB is Hilton. Bates has been burned. Bell has been mediocre. Take Elijah Moore. Play the better talent. J.K. Dobbins is going to hurt a lot of people this week. What did I say before at the very start of the show? We're going to get a lot of Dobbins questions, and the answer is almost certainly never J.K. Dobbins. This is not going to be – this is like Star Wars A New Hope, right? This is Obi-Wan. This is not the player you're looking for. Okay? It's not J.K. Dobbins this week. It is an illusion. I am a Ravens homer to the core, and I have zero faith in how they deploy J.K. Dobbins today.
Packers, Texans, Jags defense. Texans. Tua Wentz.
Texans. Tua.
I would take Tua.
Up against this depleted Bills secondary. Thank you guys for tuning in. You guys can find me over there at FF_intervention over there on Twitter. Coach Steve, where can we find you?
Yeah, you can find me over on Twitter at Coach Stephen P or Coaches Fantasy with the Fantasy Coaches.
And Thomas, where can we find your cat?
You can find me and this giant fluff ball Tuesday with the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast. You can find me Friday at the Fantasy Walkabout on the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast network. And you can find me right here on Sundays.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for letting us intervene with your start or sit questions. We're out. I almost hit